You should not listen to this with small children around. It may lead to trauma, and I cannot be held responsible for any therapy that may be needed. Listening discretion is advised.
From day one, you fought for your life, and you blew everyone away.
Hi, I'm Jesse,
I'm Alisha.
and we're changing the chances.
Welcome back.
You made it to another episode. Thanks.
I'm pretty sure this is episode 4. Super exciting stuff. I mean, for me.
We have notes this time around. Alisha made notes.
I made notes. Okay, they are not like super detailed notes. They're just an outline.
They're just
kind
little
of in the-
PowerPoints to keep us on track.
Yep, in the way they occurred. So maybe we could remember things and mention things. I don't know. Act like we have our stuff together.
Not even close.
That's why I said act. Act like we have our stuff together.
Okay, then.
Yeah? You good with that?
Sure.
Okay. Anyways, so we talked about surgery last time. Let's not go back into that. If you didn't hear it, feel free to go back to episode 3 and hear all about it. After surgery, Piper became very puffy, full of fluid and air. So that fun little valve in her heart that we so badly wanted to close before everything went wrong and we went to surgery, that actually did close, guess what? Popped open again. Because that's what happens. There was too much pressure, too much fluid, all that kind of stuff. So just popped open again. Not completely and all the way. They said it was just a little bit and it would probably close on its own again. So
Which it did.
It did. Eventually, yes, it did. Not sure when it did. I don't know if I didn't get that far in my notes or if it took longer than I anticipated.
I feel like it probably only stayed open for a couple weeks while she was healing.
I mean, that makes sense.
Because it had closed naturally on its own, and
Yeah.
really the only reason that it had popped back open was just because of surgery.
Yeah.
But she did. She looked like the little Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, and I felt so bad for her because we still couldn't like hold her and really interact with her and stuff, and we were still really on the sidelines, which is hard, especially being a new parent and just all the emotions and all the things, and but the hospital that we were at, the children's hospital we were at, was great. They had great nurses, and
let's not say though that we didn't bump heads with some nurses.
Oh no, we did, and that's just to be given. There's X amount of people come into your lives. You're not going to be okay with everybody. That's just
no. Yeah, you're definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Or
I'm lucky if I'm anybody's cup of tea. I'm lucky I'm your cup of tea.
I was going to say you're my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Okay,
then I guess that's the only reason we're here.
Hey-o. When two people love each other. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going into that. Anyway.
Yeah, we were still stuck on the sidelines.
Oh, yes. And especially
very
after
much
that. So she was in an isolette, and
you should describe what that is. Maybe some listeners don't know.
Well, agreed. And I was going to.
Oh, okay.
And if you're going to follow me on Instagram, I'm going to post pictures. So you'll know what an isolette looks like. Basically, it just looks like a box, and your baby's in it.
A box. Yep.
It's like, you've probably seen them on TV if you watch any medical shows. They do look like that. They have little holes that your hands can go into. They're closed up. It's meant to maintain temperature. I think it's meant to maintain temperature.
It's meant to maintain temperature, and essentially, they're still supposed to be in the womb. Because again, Piper was considered a micro preemie at 24 weeks gestation. Yeah, it helps with their temperature, and she was so not ready to be in the world. It helps keep out like viruses and colds and you know all that stuff and whatnot. And only authorized staff were really doing anything with her, touching her and all that stuff.
Yeah, keeps people away from her.
I was probably
no touchy.
Yeah, I was to the point I would have broke somebody's arm.
Oh yeah, no, that's super fair. I was just thinking about this, and it made me think of my grandpa.
Love Grandpa.
I know.
God rest his
So
soul.
at the time, Grandpa would have been like,
Mid-90s?
well, no, I think him and Piper were like 100 years apart. Literally, people, my grandpa and my daughter are 100 years apart.
Yeah, because Piper was 5.
Or almost 99 years
Or
apart.
something like that, yeah.
He was born in 13 and she was born in 14, so.
Yeah, 1913.
So he actually came to visit Piper. And
yeah.
it's so funny because, you know, he's 99 years old and sweetest guy ever. And he was a farmer. He farmed. That's what he did. And so he helped birth a lot of animals and all that fun stuff. So it was funny when we got to the hospital and we were sitting there and Piper is in this isolette. He can't really see her and she's tiny. And he kept saying, "What kind of creature do we have in here today?"
Oh, yeah.
He kept thinking Piper was an animal.
Yeah. I don't think he understood that we were in a human hospital. And
I don't know. I just think he couldn't. I don't know that he's ever seen anything like that. You know.
I don't know if he had.
So it was just super funny and super cute, and it's a good memory I have with him when he came to visit her in the hospital.
I mean, he would come and go as far as
like what he remembered,
what he remembered,
yeah,
what he recognized.
You know what? For his age, he was
mobile. At 99, he was mobile. I mean, after breaking both his knees at the same time, after tripping and stuff, but Grandpa was around for a while after Piper was born, so we managed to get some really amazing pictures.
Oh yeah,
with Grandpa and Piper.
He lived till he was 105.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Piper. Yeah, I'm like, because Piper was like 4 or 5 when he passed.
Yeah.
So she's 7 now.
Yeah, it was a good time. But I just was thinking about that in the isolette, and he was just so confused, and he thought there was an animal inside this thing. And we had to keep reminding him, no, that's Piper. It's a baby.
That's your great-great-granddaughter.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Anyway, so she was in an isolette.
For quite some time.
Let's see, April, May, June, till July. 3 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. She did come off a ventilator pretty quick, though, which was amazing.
Yeah, they were even surprised there at the hospital. Like, she must not have got the memo at 24 weeks. Like,
your lungs are like the last thing to develop before you're born. So being born that early, they were terrified about her breathing because her lungs were just not developed. But she did really good. And when I say she came off a ventilator, she was still on oxygen afterwards, but she didn't have a tube going down her throat into her lungs. That's what I mean by coming off of a ventilator.
Yeah, she went off of a full ventilation to high flow.
Yes, to high flow oxygen. And she actually did that even before a month old. She went back on a ventilator when she had surgery, but...
Oh, yeah, that's right. And she had another surgery.
Which she always does, because when they sedate her, she won't breathe on her own, so they have to put her on a...
Yeah, that's the thing with Piper. She tends to get lazy.
Okay, don't we all, though?
Yeah, I guess
if something is so much easier to do, you don't have to put in the effort.
Oh, you're going to breathe for me? I don't have to do that? Fine. But, I mean, even there's been times where they're like, she should be wanting to come off of the ventilator, like, on her own. And she's not.
Yeah.
We almost have to, like, force her back off on the oxygen and almost force her to start breathing on her own.
And she does. She picks it up when she realizes that we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So she came off the ventilator again, I don't know, about 5 days after surgery. Maybe not that long. Yeah, about 5 days after surgery, she came back off the ventilator. She was still
relatively small.
Which was great.
Yeah.
That's, step in the right direction. Shortly after that, you got to hold her for the first time.
Yeah. Skin to skin. We've got some pictures of that.
I know. So cute.
I remember just feeling like I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. I had this tiny, itty bitty, fragile little thing. I mean, legitly, my one hand was as big as she was. Like, her whole hand didn't even cover my thumb.
I have, like, the best picture of it. What's even more cute is because you worked with a lady at the time who knitted or crocheted. I'm not sure what the word is. little hats for her. And they're so tiny, so adorable. And she wore them when we held her because it helped hold the heat in.
Yeah, because she was just so tiny.
Because you have to keep her warm because she's not in the isolate.
She hadn't opened her eyes yet, had she?
Yeah, she opened them at the other hospital.
She did. That's
right. Yeah, I have a best picture, so I'll be excited to post that if people want to just see that adorableness.
Yeah, I remember thinking like I could just hold her like that forever because...
And almost that you can't because...
With all the wires and stuff, that's what sucked about it is because like I finally got to hold her and I finally got to feel like that, I guess that dad feeling, like I had her in my hands. I felt like I could protect her now. Like, you know, like you...
Well, it's different because
you finally got to make that connection. You had them inside you.
Yeah.
Like you already had
I held them a whole different way.
Yeah, you held them exactly a whole different level.
Mm-hmm.
And I was finally getting to hold my baby girl, and it changed me 100%. Like finding out I was having a girl changed me, and then seeing and going through everything that we had already gone through totally changed me. But finally being able to hold her was a whole new level.
Oh yeah,
like it just the whole skin to skin, and then you know with the nurses and doctors being like, this is one of the best things for her.
Yeah,
she can hear your heartbeat, and she's making that connection and bond too. And yeah, it was the best. And she was the best cuddle buddy then, and she still is now.
Right?
Like
it hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed.
I mean, but now she's way more opinionated about it. She only wants to cuddle when she wants to cuddle.
Oh no, it's on her time for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if she does, it's great. But
she'll throw an elbow to the throat and kick you in the legs, or headbutt you.
Yep.
when she doesn't want to sit with you, or interact with you, she lets you know in her own way. She may not be able to talk. She can verbalize. And she'll tell, like, she lets you know, like, she yells and gets excited, and she yells and gets mad.
Yes, she does.
My mom likes to say that about 90% of the time, 95% of the time, she's like you. Calm and sweet and mellow and loving. And the second you tick her off,
she becomes you.
She becomes me, and it's like 0 to 60.
Yep. Flipping a coin. Yeah. Listen, I was happy and I was calm. Now I'm no longer that.
Nope. And my mom's like, it's so funny because I can see it. It's just you. I
definitely see each of us in her, like our personalities, and
100% her own too.
Oh yeah, we're like, yep, that's just Piper. That is just who she is.
Yeah, like. Even when she's ignoring us, like giving us the cold shoulder, it's like, oh, okay then.
Oh, man.
Or if, like you and I are talking and like we crack a joke or whatever we're talking about is funny and we kind of chuckle about it and she laughs along with it too. Like,
oh my gosh.
She's there. She 100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And seriously, parents, don't ever take anybody's opinion or whatever to heart. Take it with a grain of salt. Because
that's exactly what it is. It's an opinion.
It's an opinion because, there's people that...
And unless you live this day in and day out.
Yeah. Because, and I'm, like I said, I'm sure there's people that look at Piper and probably think she's not there. And she is there 100%.
And I think that is a hard thing for people to understand. That, like, just because she's non-verbal... Yes, she doesn't say actual words. That does not mean that she doesn't understand. That does not mean that she can't interact with you. Because she 100% knows exactly what you're saying, and she has fabulous hearing, by the way.
Now, her vision may not be all that good, but, I mean, she can hear everything that's going on.
And she will. And if she so chooses to interact with you, she will. I also think the hard part is because it takes Piper longer to respond than a typical person. She has to really think about it before it happens. So if you're not patient, you tend to just think, oh, well, she just doesn't understand what's happening.
Well, and it also, with her increased muscle tone, it's hard for her to hold her head up.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for her to move her arms, her legs, all of her extremities and stuff. And with CP, it's like 20 times harder to move your muscles than it is for a typical person.
Mm-hmm.
You have to, put out that much more energy to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you can see it when she gets frustrated, when she wants to do something, wants to move a certain way. Her muscles are either non-responsive or too tired because she's doing something that she's enjoying doing.
Mm-hmm.
And she just can't keep up with it. Her muscles just can't keep up with it. So, but she's come such a long way from being the size of a $1 bill.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To, this
Who she is now.
45-pound sack of potatoes because you got to pick her up and do everything with her because, she can't do anything without help. But she is got her personality. And
yeah, and that's the thing, is she's all there.
Yeah.
She's 100% there. The problem is her brain just can't communicate to her body is the big thing.
Yeah, her muscles. And what a lot of people don't understand and recognize is that your tongue is nothing but a muscle. And if you have increased muscle tone, you don't have control over your muscles the way that we do and the way that people take for granted. Mm-hmm. You reach over and grab your drink across the table and it's a simple movement. That simple movement is, 20 times harder because of the connection that your brain needs to make with your muscles. Mm-hmm. And Piper has increased muscle tone, so her brain's always telling her to do something. So she has to fight it to do what she wants to do.
Exactly. Well, and that's, her brain, so her muscles are very, very tight in her left side, mostly in her left leg. So what her brain is telling it is to always contract the muscles constantly. It's on a never-ending loop telling her left leg muscles to contract. So to fight against that constantly is exhausting. And,
It takes a lot out of her. And, I mean, like we said, she's come a long way because she can control some movements for, a limited amount of time, and she can kick and push herself and roll and stuff like that, and she gets so excited when she does it. But again, it takes 20% more energy than anything else just to do that. So, I think we lost a contestant. It looks like Bachelor number 1 has scared off the Bachelorette. Johnny, what are we going to do over here? Bachelor number 1 seems to have scared off our contestant. Johnny? No Johnny. Okay.
Sorry. Back.
Oh, look at that. The Bachelorette came running back. I guess the Bachelor had a little something she wanted.
I don't know what's happening since I've been gone, but the dog was barking nonstop because we are downstairs and she is upstairs and she is so angry. I only heard part of what you were saying, but apparently it was hilarious.
I didn't know what to say.
Well, I guess we're just leaving this in the podcast.
Yeah, we'll
I'm going to have to hear it later.
Yeah, Max can.
No,
Johnny here, who didn't want to reply because he was too busy laughing.
Oh, you asked him a question. Okay.
Oh, yeah, I totally improv'd and
I liked it.
I went to a Bachelor and Bachelorette TV show.
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, the Bachelorette just ran away. What did the Bachelor do? Johnny, what are we going to do to the Bachelor?
And the producer, you're supposed to step in and fix the problem.
No, he just sat there and laughed and didn't know what to do.
Useless.
I should have turned around and been like, okay, and audience. Nope. Audience,
Nothing?
I got nothing.
Okay.
Chirp, 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 chirp.
This is fantastic. Oh my gosh. See what happens? I couldn't help it. The dog was driving me crazy.
I know. I could hear.
I can't listen to this anymore. I have to go shut the door.
Okay.
So I thought that I'd be back sooner or you had more to say, but apparently I timed that wrong.
Nope.
Okay. Nope. Wonderful. Moving on. Piper did start crying at 5 weeks old, which doesn't sound exciting. It was the cutest
It was like this little mouse.
So Piper started crying at 5 weeks old, which doesn't sound super exciting, but it was so adorable. And it actually was loud for what you think this tiny little human being would make. People were very surprised when she cried and went, is that her?
Yeah, we were all a little surprised.
It was super cute.
And as soon as she started making noise, she hasn't stopped.
Good for her.
Yeah.
She found her voice and now she's using it.
Yeah, it may not be with words, but, I can yell in so many different dialects.
Why
and
not?
so can she.
Right. There you go. It's perfect. She started getting milk. She started getting fed again in her belly at the beginning of June. This is how long this has all taken. She had surgery on the 23rd of May, and now we're into June, and she's finally just getting milk in her belly again. So what happens is, because she's not connected together, if you remember, she is separated. She has a whole big gap of her intestine missing. So they put a bag on. It's an ostomy bag. So it goes into your belly. When it comes out the ostomy bag, which you have to change. And as they're doing this, the problem that can occur is the part of your intestine that's being used will grow. The other part that is not being used will not grow. So when you go to try and put them two back together, when they say it's like hooking a straw to a hose.
Yeah, that's the...
Basically, one is really skinny and one is not.
Because one's not being used and one is.
And it tends to cause problems. So their fix for this, okay, this is going to get super graphic, so just don't panic, people. Hang in there.
So we have to do another, explicit content.
Oh, it's at the beginning of all of them.
Okay.
But I'm just letting people know this moment right now can get a little graphic. So basically it's called refeeding. It's called stool refeeding. So everything that comes out in a bag, they would suck up into a syringe and feed it into the other half of her intestine. It is a crazy setup, but guess what? It works.
Because it gives the bottom half of these intestines to do what they're supposed to do. Absorb nutrients and move the poo and stuff, everything, down the way it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
So that they grow as well.
Yeah. So there'll be hopefully less complications when they put her back together.
Yep.
So at this point, when they're starting to feed her again, she's only getting 0.8 milliliters every 3 hours. I don't know if you know how much a milliliter is, but it is not very much. It's like nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Couple droplets.
But this is where we are. This is where we start. This is what we're doing.
Gotta start somewhere.
She, at this point, is about 1 pound, 8 ounces.
When she was born, she was 1 pound, 2 ounces.
Are you sure she wasn't 1.4?
Oh, she might have been 1.4.
I don't remember. Something like that. So in all this time, in a month and a half, she really has not grown that much.
Nope, still about the size of a dollar bill.
Anybody.
Yep, super tiny.
This is how this goes. We just do our thing in our own time.
They had even the specialized preemie diapers, covered all the way up to the middle of her torso.
Oh my gosh.
They were so big on her.
I know.
Everything was so huge because she was so tiny.
Yeah. Oh man.
We saved one of those itty bitty little
I have a whole
diapers.
pack. I have a whole pack of them because the hospital's like, we can't use these. Take them home. What am I going to do with them?
What are we gonna do with
But I
them?
can't part with them because they hold a place in my heart. I don't know. It's one of those things.
Well, honestly, you should keep 2.
I do. I have 2 set aside, but I can't bring myself to just throw out. I don't know. I know it's weird.
Do I need to throw them away? As long as we have 2.
I mean, you probably have to because I can't. We're just being honest.
As long as we have 2, for sure, set aside for both the one for each twin. The rest can go.
I hear you. And I'm not arguing with that. I just can't physically make myself do it.
I can do it.
Okay. Well, good. Good to know.
It's like, how I can smash a spider with my bare foot.
Oh, gross. Gross. I don't even like doing it with a shoe.
When they crunch because they're that big
Ugh.
under your foot.
No. Gross. Anyways, So let's see. We're looking about a couple days later, like a week later, Piper gets her first EEG. They are looking at her brainwaves because her heart rate just keeps dropping drastically and they can't figure out why. They're looking for seizures, which is a common thing that can occur when you have massive brain damage. That'll happen. They didn't see any seizures. They didn't have any explanation for why her heart was doing that. Again, we come back to there's not really an answer. It's probably just because she's so little. Good luck with that. We hope she grows out of it.
Yeah, we got a lot of, medically we don't know what to say. Kind of things, and kind of the shoulder shrug, like, we don't know. We don't know. It's like, all you professional doctors and stuff, and all you can tell us is, pretty much wait and see, and we don't know. Tests after tests, and
it's funny. You go into a doctor and you're like, this is what's happening, and they're like, nah. They like totally don't believe you because they're like, well, I'm the medical professional. And then when something like this happens, they're like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
or
what?
When you try to tell them, like, this is what's going on, this is not baseline for my child, and they try to tell you, like, oh, well, no, she's with us every day.
Promise. Actually, I haven't ran into that a whole lot, though.
No, and that was a little more, like, earlier on, because, they could tell we were new parents, but, yeah, we might have been a little paranoid, but we had a lot going on. We had a lot on our plate with her, and it's like...
Always something new.
Yeah.
Always something new.
She's taught us so much.
I know. So we learned a fun fact. It's not really a fun fact. Oxygen, because she's still on oxygen. She still needs help because she's so little. Oxygen helps things grow, which you would think would be fantastic in most cases.
But pure oxygen makes things grow too fast.
Yep. And when your body is so little and trying to grow and you're on oxygen, they have to monitor it super, super carefully because one of the main side effects is it can make you go blind, basically. And how that happens is...
the blood vessels in your eyes grow too fast and they like bunch up on each other.
Yeah, they don't grow outwards.
Yeah.
They grow upwards, like on top of each other. They stack
on each other instead of spreading out.
Which will eventually cause pressure and detach your retina from your eyeball.
And cause you to go blind.
Yep.
So Piper's, what, like 6 weeks old at this point? Something like that? And now we're having to talk about laser eye surgery. Yep.
The eye doctors came in, take a look, see what's going on. The lady takes a look and she's like, well, yeah, that's definitely like happening. But she's not on a ventilator, so that's good news. And she's not on the highest setting of oxygen, which is great news. But we want to watch it and see what's happening. We'll come back on Friday. I don't know, like 4 days. I don't know. They come back and, they came back on a Thursday. I don't know. I'm mixing up my days. She comes back and she takes a look and she's like, let's just hold off over the weekend. We'll be back Monday. I think we're good. Great. Wonderful. Because on the inside, I'm not really ready for another surgery. This doesn't sound exciting.
Nobody was ready for another surgery.
Because again, you have to put her under, puts her back on a ventilator, which nobody wants her on because it's not good for her on all sorts of levels.
You have to worry about her crashing. You have to worry about infection. You have to worry about all these things.
Like damage to your esophagus.
Yeah.
And it's just super not exciting. Well, Jesse's back at work, all the things. So I'm going up to the hospital by myself because I'm still on leave, maternity leave from having the kids. And I'm up at the hospital and all of a sudden the eye doctor comes in and she's like, you know what? I just don't feel comfortable. We're going to do surgery right now. We're going to do it today. Okay, well, when you think you have 3 days to prepare yourself for something, and then all of a sudden they're like, by the way, just kidding, I lied. I understand it was the best thing for Piper, but at the time, I cannot keep having surgery sprung on me and all the things. It is not good for my stress. It is not good for me. I had a come apart in the hospital. I'm trying to keep it together. because I have to sign all these forms and I'm trying to ask all the questions and I don't know what to do and I'm confused, and it was not awesome. I called Jesse at work and let him know, hey, by the way, this is happening today. I can't remember. What did you say? Do you even remember that phone call?
No. I'm sure I just said Piper needed to go into surgery for something and I gotta go.
Yeah, I don't remember the conversation. I do remember calling you, and obviously I was crying because that's what I do, and that's what I did. That's also the first time at this children's hospital there's a group there. They're like a support group. They're amazing people.
Wonderful people.
And they reach out to parents with kids who maybe won't live as long or have short lifespans or have very complicated issues. So they had reached out to us and they did a lunch every week, and you could sit with other parents and talk to them, which is fantastic. But I was very hesitant to go because I did not feel emotionally in a place to be around other people, because I didn't want to cry around strangers, basically.
We were so emotionally unstable, it wasn't even funny.
So, that was the first time I went to lunch. The lady came in and just said, you know what? We're just going to be down the hall, and she's going to be getting her laser eye surgery. I can't be in there for it. She's like, just come eat, and the second she gets done, I'll have them page, and you can go right back. So I did. I went and had lunch. I was a wreck. I didn't talk to anybody. They were all very nice. But that was my first experience with that. And laser eye surgery went well. The thing with laser eye surgery, what they basically go do is they go in and kill basically those, what?
They burn them. They cauterize them with the laser.
So they don't grow anymore.
So they stop growing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had said that she would more than likely lose all of her peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm.
And because she ended up having 2 laser eye surgeries.
Yep, she sure did.
The first one was to stop them from pretty much making her go blind, because they said you can do this and try and save some of her vision, or just let it keep growing and she'll be blind. Alisha and I made the decision that since Piper was choosing to fight and be in this world, that we would try and save what vision we could.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So we decided for the first laser surgery, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, she'll for sure not have any peripheral vision. But yeah, that first surgery on her eyes went well, and
mm-hmm.
She came off the ventilator and everything pretty quick. I think on that one, it was a pretty
I think it was only
turnaround.
like a day or two.
Yeah, a couple days. I think it was within a couple weeks, actually, maybe no more than a month, that they were like,
I don't know.
Something was still going on with their eyes.
Well, yeah, because she was still on oxygen.
Yeah,
and she was still growing, so.
So she had to have another laser surgery too.
Oh yeah.
So.
Later, they kept an eye on her.
Yeah.
For sure. She's still too tiny at this point. We were still looking at doll clothes that were still too big for her.
Yeah, just like the little baby dolls.
Yeah.
I mean, she was maybe the size of a Barbie, if that.
Oh man. She just was so tiny. She finally got off high flow oxygen near the end of June. About 2 months old.
Was it the high flow cannula?
Yeah, the high flow. Yeah, so she was still on oxygen.
She was still on oxygen.
She just wasn't on high flow anymore. Which again, oxygen still causing all the things to grow way too fast.
But she needed it because she was still struggling to breathe on her own.
She was still 1 pound 8 ounces at this point.
She was breathing on her own, but not all the time, so to speak. Like it's almost like her body would get tired and almost stop.
Yeah.
And it would need the help. So it was almost being forced into her lungs.
No, it's just reminding her.
Yeah.
Just reminding her to breathe.
Yeah. Hey.
You still got to do this.
You still got to do this.
You still got to do this. She just wasn't putting on any weight. She was still 1 pound 8 ounces. Not so.
Well, and really, because she was on, what is it, TPN? Or
Yeah, TPN, which is like IV nutrition, which is
Yeah.
obviously not great for your veins
and your body's not designed
to live that
to
way.
live on this stuff. Like a couple days, okay, to get you through, keep you hydrated.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be hard on your liver, hard on your kidneys,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like a super pack of nutrients and stuff, and it's a lot for your body to process.
Yeah.
And when you're already so tiny and got everything going against you, it's like, here, let's give you all this stuff, pump you full of it
Right.
for weeks on end.
So, which is why that was super important. They were trying to like feed her into in her belly. So they ended up giving her all of the milk I had, and it just wasn't doing anything.
Well, and it wasn't very much anyway.
No,
You-
but again, she wasn't taking very much either. Yeah. So then they moved her to like donor milk.
I think, I'm like, didn't she take donor milk for a little while?
I feel like she did, and she still just wasn't putting on weight. She just wasn't holding on to it. So finally a nurse was like, hey, I think this is the route we need to go. And it was some kind of formula, special formula. I don't remember the name of it, and I didn't write it down. And she's like, I'll talk to the doctors, but I think this is the route we need to go if we want to get weight on her. So she talked to the doctors, and I guess they agreed. And I'm not going to say as soon, but pretty quickly, she started putting on weight. Like,
I mean, we were still counting grams at this stage.
Yeah.
So I mean, we started getting, 12 grams, 16 grams.
Well, she finally hit 2 pounds.
Yeah.
She finally hit 2 pounds just before July.
Because one of the requests, or however you say it, to come home is she has to be a minimum of 5 pounds.
Yeah. So
I mean,
we're just hanging out.
We were just, trying to get to 2 at this point, and it's like, come on, 2 pounds.
Right? Like, you're like, well, we're never getting to 5 pounds. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Like,
see, and that's the thing too, is the days were so long. The nights were so long. And it just seemed like they were never going to end. And
right.
And it's so funny looking back on it now, because it was the days and the nights were long. And
here we are 7 years later.
Here we are 7 years later, and it seems like the years have gone by fast.
Right.
Like,
that's what they say.
We almost couldn't see an end of the tunnel while you're in it.
Mm-hmm. You can't.
And
you can't.
It's crazy being able to look back on it now, and it's like, we survived that.
Wow, I know.
How did we manage to survive that?
I don't have an answer for that.
Star of the show over here is starting to give an opinion.
Anyways, so Piper's officially now 2 pounds. She's growing.
2 pounds.
Woo! Never thought we'd see that coming. And then she got her second eye surgery. Yep, right at the beginning of July.
Yeah.
But upside, at this point, we're getting to hold her pretty regularly now, because she's not really on, like, she only has minimal support on oxygen. So
her skin is developing very well.
Mm-hmm.
It's still very sensitive. There was one time she had an IV in her hand, and they had it taped down, and when they pulled the tape off, it pulled some skin off with it. And she still has a little scar on her hand, actually, because of it. It was pretty gruesome, because like this little piece of skin chunk just stuck to the piece of tape, and I remember that. It was like, oh my God, like, what is going on?
It's crazy, because we get that question sometimes, like, what is this scar from? I'm like, it's fine. We
piece of tape. Took her skin off.
Just took it off in the beginning. Oops.
So, just to put him to perspective, like how fragile her skin still was.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, you couldn't rub. You had to pat.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was a big thing.
Even the medical tape. And that's what did it, the medical tape.
Oh, yeah. Well, she was taped up from all the IVs and all those things that were helping keeping her alive.
Yeah, she had her second eye surgery.
With an amazing nurse. Oh my gosh. The nurse that watched her the second time, she was still, I wouldn't say she was new, but she was new. So she told us, she was like, I've never been through an eye surgery, but I'm going to ask them if I can still be her nurse, and I'll read up on everything, how I can help take care of her after. And super, super sweet.
Yeah, I remember her. She was, I think she was going to school still, while she was nursing.
That could be it.
And, we actually asked, because there's a thing at, and I don't know if it's all hospitals or all children's hospitals.
It's most, but
you can request primary nurses, and
so when they're on duty, they'll get to be with your child.
So that way they can get familiar with the child, and it's somebody
you're comfortable with.
Yeah, and you make that request.
Yep.
They don't make that request. You make that request as a parent, because you should feel comfortable with who's taking care of your kid. Because there's amenities. Alicia could take a shower at the Ronald McDonald House, and she could essentially get a room held for, I think it's like an hour or something like that, so she could go and take a nap. But you get burned out being at these hospitals, eating cafeteria food and being up there by yourself, because life goes on for everybody else. Everybody goes back to work. Everybody has their own lives.
Yep. Unfortunately, the world keeps going.
Yep, it keeps spinning, and this is the hand that we were dealt.
Yep.
And we were trying to make it through, and like Alisha said, I had to go back to work. As much as it sucked, the U.S. doesn't care about dads supporting moms and trying
companies
to
don't.
No, companies don't either. Corporate America is just, it's disgusting. So disgusting. It's sickening. And so Alisha was up there all day by herself for weeks.
Yeah, I was out on maternity for 8 weeks. So for 8 weeks, not all 8 weeks, obviously, because you were out for 1 or 2 at the beginning.
I think I got 3 days of bereavement for Caleb. And I think I had a week, maybe 2 of like vacation or something like that. And then I applied for my intermittent FMLA.
Yeah, but you still went back to work because you don't get paid to be on FMLA.
I don't get paid to be on FMLA,
and lucky.
And no joke, like within the insurance companies, do not hesitate to start sending out bills. Because
we got bills in the first week.
Yeah, within the first week,
over $5,000.
Just here, this is what you owe. Here, this is what you owe. Here, this is what you owe. And it's like, what? No.
I'm still in the hospital. I'm not paying you a dime right now.
Yeah, I'm like, I just lost 1 kid, and I'm struggling to be back at work, and I've got another kid in the hospital. Like, this doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon. Do not worry. Do not stress. I know it's better, easier said than done.
Well, and the thing is always ask the hospital if you can talk to somebody about help. Because guess what? Unless you ask, they don't usually offer anything, purely because they want you to pay. They don't care.
Want you to pay. So ask for a
social
worker or a case worker or something like that. That way they can better explain to you your resources, what's available to you, and get you some resources and some outlets, because like Alisha said, they don't care. They don't want the insurance companies, they want you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And even honestly,
to this day, 7 years later, we're still getting.
Oh my gosh, I can't. The fastest way to make me angry is getting a bill. Insurance. I cannot. Anyways, I can't even talk about it because it makes me so angry. And the best resource, honestly, is to talk to other special needs parents, because guess what? If somebody's been through it, they will help you. They will help you because they know what it's like to be lost in the dark and not know what's going on. So my advice is ask another special needs parent, family, anybody, because they have the answers. Somebody's been through it. Somebody knows, or somebody knows somebody who knows. And
that's the thing is, while we were in the NICU, we didn't see a ton of parents in there, like, while we were in with Piper. What was it, 4 or 6 kids per?
It depends on what room you're in.
But there was a lot of times we were up there for a whole day, just me and you, and no parents, no nothing.
Yeah, but unfortunately, people have to go back to work.
Yeah.
They can't just be there.
I get it. But these poor kids,
I know.
It broke my heart. Like, I have a big heart when it comes to kids. I kind of had a messed up background as far as childhoods and stuff go and whatnot. So it just, on top of my kid being there, seeing these other kids, that were in just as bad shape, if not worse, than Piper. It was a lot. It was really a lot for me.
Yeah, it's tough. It's really tough.
And I used to tell all these nurses, all the nurses that Piper had and all of our primaries and stuff like that they were just godsends. And it takes a different breed, honestly.
It does.
Because, like, the doctors, they get all the credit, whatever. They go take all the...
They get all the glory.
The 8 years in college and whatever. They
but the nurses are there in the trenches.
Are they're the ones in the trenches. They're the ones that make that connection. They've got that bedside manner. Well, some of them. Yeah. But they're the ones doing it all. Yep. Drawing the blood and doing the blood pressures. And, they're essentially the ones putting, if they have to do like an emergency, trach or something.
If there's an emergency, the nurses are there. Yeah, for sure. We actually made a whole basket, made a bunch of cookies, and wrote thank you notes to the nurses in the first hospital after we got transferred and dropped it off because we just needed them to know that we saw them and we appreciated everything they did.
Because there was nothing we could do. The cookies, honestly, were just a gesture.
100%.
I could have, if I could have given every single one of these people, their own countries.
Anything you want.
Anything you want, it's yours. I'll give it to you. But it's, just to let them know, because they probably don't hear it nearly often enough. Same with like our first responders and our military and stuff like that.
Stressful situations. So they
high stress situations.
You don't get a lot of praise in the middle of a crisis.
Even after the crisis is over, 9 times out of 10, you probably don't get any kind of praise.
They are amazing.
And they don't do it for the praise.
No.
They don't. And
they do it because they love it.
They all said that.
At least you hope. They do it because they love it.
Yep, they do it for the kids. They do it because they love it. Yeah. And they do it to see the joy that it brings the family because, their child's still here.
Yeah, they're amazing. Okay, I guess we should wrap it up there. It's been about that time.
Yeah, it's about that time. We can end it on praising the wonderful, wonderful nurses.
Yeah.
So, thanks again for listening to all of our craziness, and we look forward to whoever comes back for, what is that, round 5?
Yeah.
Round 5, and we'll be the next one.
Talking with you guys in round 5. That's what we're calling
Episode 5, round 5, chapter 5.
I don't know if we're like naming these things.
I don't know.
Oh. My producer doesn't know either.
Producer doesn't know either.
I thought he'd name them, so I don't really know. But anyways, thanks for listening, and we will talk with you next week.
Same bat channel, same bat time.
Of course. Bye.
Bye.